I have made nearly $70,000 in sales for my online business, and I have learned 10 key lessons over the past 9 failed businesses, which allowed me to generate that level of success, which I'm going to teach you how you can apply each and every one of these to your business and life so you don't make the same mistakes I did, allowing you to get that freedom you've been dreaming of. Now, starting with lesson number 1, you have to actually want to win. Most people lack the drive to be great and consistently work towards something. This is just because they don't actually want to win. Now you have to start to question, are you one of those people? Are you genuinely willing to sacrifice everything to be great? Are you willing to not go out? Are you willing to work hours and hours and hours every single day for months or even years? Just so that way you can be great and you don't stay being average or just above average. Do you work really hard for a couple days and then just quit and get into weeks of procrastination and doing nothing? If that's you, there's a way to fix it, and the way you fix it is through genuinely visualizing you making millions of dollars per month. Imagine that, millions of dollars per month. And then the feeling associated with that and the fact that you can literally have access to anything that you want, anything that you dream of. Visualize the feeling associated with that. This feeling associated with that and that outcome, that feeling for you is probably going to be way better than what you're feeling right now. And you want to create that huge discrepancy and look at that hypothetical extreme because that's going to show you the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Then what you want to do is you want to use the pain of the fact that you're not in that place and not in that end goal. You're not in the position to be able to have that, and use that as anger and use that as fuel to get you to start doing the work. By the way, if you want all the resources I've developed over the past 2 years of online business, click the top link in the description. You can get free access to those there. And constantly remind yourself of the fact that you're not in the position to be able to have access to literally whatever you want whenever you want it. Now, maybe you do just want to live a normal, average life. And I guess that's fine if you genuinely just want to live like everybody else. Okay, you get out of school and now you're in college. All right, you're going to college and you're in this place. You're like, yeah, I guess I kind of want to go to college. And I don't know, I'll probably just figure out what I want to do then. You're working an all right job, hanging out with the same old people, making a decent income. But you're always just at the brink of being afloat. Like, yeah, you can kind of pay your bills. And then in a couple years down the line, maybe you meet somebody you want to have a family with and you guys get an all right house. But that's still like the extent, and that's just barely being average, maybe even above average. If that's you, that's fine. However, for those of you who truly want to be great and want to have access not only for yourself, but for your future family and your future self, being able to have access to all quality in the world. Like right now, you don't actually have access to the highest quality of things, whether that's flying or that's driving or that's a gym or that's your food. The highest quality of getting food for you is not just takeout or something from the grocery store or even a fancy restaurant. Imagine having a personal chef with a huge commercial-like kitchen inside of your house. And then this personal chef personally creates all of yours and your family meals, which is grown in a garden that you own, or even a farm that you own. And this is the highest level grade of food, and they spend hours creating this food specifically for you at the exact time you want it. Imagine being able to have that and have access to opportunities like those. What you don't right now, and you should almost be pissed off on the fact that you don't. And then you use that as fuel to be able to get this work done and remind yourself of the fact that you're not in that state. When you define the fact that you're in this deprived state, what happens is that creates a lot of short-term motivations over the next couple months or years because you know there's more out there for you. You should be willing to sacrifice everything. You should have like sleepless nights, 12, 14, 16-hour days every day for months. And the fact that in the back of your mind, you're not willing to do that, or you use some sort of excuse, oh, I have this thing going on. I have to do this. All of that is complete nonsense. I scaled my business to literally, like, this is no joke, $5,000 cash collected in my bank account, a little bit more than that, after like my 5th or 6th month of business while I was in school as a junior in high school. This was like about almost a year ago. With that being said, is that if I could do that while in school 40 hours a week, you can do the same thing and even better. So you should be willing to sacrifice everything to genuinely get what you want, because that's what your competition is doing that you're not. And just consistently do that, because yeah, maybe one day you work 10, 15 hours, but the rest you don't. The rest you procrastinate, or the rest you just go out and hang out with people you shouldn't be. Maybe you're watching podcasts or whatever that might be for you. Instead of doing that, instead of going to just sit down and kind of working a little bit for a couple hours and saying, oh, I deserve a treat, or I'm going to go out and hang out with these same old people that I did for the past couple of years, be disciplined and do the hard work. And just keep doing it. Anytime there's that doubt in your mind, keep going. Now, you might think, okay, but going on what? What work do I do? I have to learn first. I have to set out a plan. But honestly, learning is fucking useless at the start. And the reason why learning is useless is because most of the time people define learning by just consuming new information. So in that sense, this learning and this planning is useless because your plan is going to change when you are met with new information that you know is right. Okay, how do you know something is right? How do you learn? How you learn is simply by understanding that when you're given a similar experience that you've had in the past, but in between those two, you were met with an idea, and then this idea actually changed your behavior, well, that in itself is learning. Now, with that being said, the prerequisite to that is actually having, number one, experience, and number two, behavior. But if you never act and you never get new experiences, then you aren't going to be able to learn. So to learn and to actually learn, you have to act and you have to just start and stop planning and stop learning, which is just really procrastination on what you know you should be doing. It took me years to figure this out. I was sitting there hanging out with the same old people, the same old girlfriend, the same old job, until I realized I was like, what am I doing? I'm sitting there doing nothing, kind of reading sometimes, maybe meditating, kind of frequently, but I never really took the initiative to start, or when I did, I quit because one little road bump in the path. And the reason for this is because I was looking for that magic piece of information that was going to make me feel certain that whatever I was going to get into is truly going to work. However, that information doesn't exist. And that magic piece of information is actually just in the work you keep avoiding. And once I figured out that fact, and the fact that the more action I took and the more work I did, the more I felt certain in what I was doing, that's when I realized this next key lesson, number 3, which is outwork the doubt. That's what you have to do. Because you might have doubt in yourself, or the model you do, or you might have other people doubting you, which makes you doubt yourself. You have to outwork that doubt because your subconscious just picks up on whatever dominating thoughts and ideas are in your mind. So if you work less than the amount of doubt that seeps into your mind, well, guess what? That doubt is going to overtake it, and then you're just going to latch onto that idea as being truthful. So you have to do more work than the doubt does in your mind, so you have to literally outwork the doubt. Literally, you have to outwork it because the doubt is trying to work into your mind, so you have to actually physically do the action of like typing on a keyboard and doing the work which is necessary to get what you want. And you might say, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Well, yes, you can. You can. However, it is, we could say, unreasonable for you to be so great at it. And that's key lesson number 4. It's unreasonable for you to be great when you first start. Yet most people compare themselves to people who have been doing this for literally years. I didn't just start off speaking like this, articulating my points like this, and understanding these lessons in my mind. It took me years of trying stuff, failing, trying to make money, failing, failures after failure after failure, until I started to learn these things and develop these skills. You can even check my YouTube channel right now and the videos I've made years ago and see the discrepancy between where I was and where I am now. So understand that it really is unreasonable for you to be even good or all right at whatever you're doing at the start. But the fact that you made the decision to start is still better than 90% of the people who take years just to make the decision to start. In fact, that was the key limiting factor in almost everything I was doing and everything I tried to improve in, is I never actually made the decision to start trying to get better. And once you make that decision to actually just start trying to do something, that puts you ahead of most people, because most people put off making the decision. So if you can make then that decision faster than other people, then you can act faster than other people. Therefore, you can get better. But you can only get better at something when you decide that that's what you're going to do. So you have to make that commitment, and you have to be willing to sacrifice other opportunities, or at least at the moment, to be able to get better at what you're doing now, because you can't do everything and be the best at it. So choose something right now, like choose actually working into your business in the process and learning the process of making money and the skills which come along with it, like sales, charisma, and confidence, and these other things which you're going to need to develop in order to be able to make money and make it consistently. But by you choosing to actually learn these things, procrastinating the decision is going to be the defining factor between whether you're going to be able to succeed or not. And really, you just should be focusing not even on the succession of making money, but on the input you put in and really maximizing the work you do. And what I mean by this is that you want to work as much as possible and work to improve, rather than focusing on an outcome that may or may not happen, because you don't have direct control over that, but you have control over the action you do right now. And that leads me to the next point. Number 5 is you should stop trying to make money. Now you might think, okay, that might be a little counterintuitive. However, let me tell you, it's actually the best thing you can do to make money. Because by stop focusing on actually trying to make money, what you're able to do is solely focus on the work you do. Because if you can solely actually focus, I don't just mean like general term of focus, but have your mind constantly thinking of the thoughts on how can I get better? How can I do more work, and how can I do more work better? As this consistent improvement allows these actions to compound, resulting in you getting a better outcome. Because fundamentally, everything is just input to output. Every outcome that you can think of is just whatever you put in. There's a certain set of behaviors. So behavior defined as thoughts, decisions, words, and actions that you do which results in the outcome you want. Now, those might be unclear to you now, so the best thing you can do is start to experience the action of just doing stuff, because then worst case scenario is you find out what doesn't work. Because when you find out what doesn't work, and eventually you cross so many different things off, you'll find out what does. Because if you have this whole list of like, hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, after 1,000 actions, you're going to be, well, more than even 1,000 times better, because you've been able to develop the right framework of whatever you decide to do. So if that's creating content, if that's whatever skill that you're trying to develop that is necessary or a prerequisite for your success, you can break it down to a set of behaviors and a set of things not to do. So there's things you have to do and things you shouldn't do. So if you learn all the things you shouldn't do, eventually it just leaves what you actually should do. Which means the best thing you can do is actually take the action, because then you can figure out what those are. As remember, what learning is just changing your behavior when given a similar experience you've had in the past. Well, if that's the case, then the more experiences you have, the more you can change your behavior, and then you just get feedback off of that behavior, and you can get feedback from yourself by looking at, okay, over all this past action, I did this. Well, what's the difference between the top 10% of these actions, like performance-based, and the bottom 10? And then just start kind of cutting stuff off of the bottom every single set period of time. And then eventually you're just going to be left with like all of your work is like the top 10% of the previous time, because of the fact that you've gotten that feedback. First, you have to actually do the action. Second, you have to get consistent feedback from it. Which leads me to number 6. You have to be ruthless with your time. Because if you're genuinely ruthless with your time and you only focus on doing more work and getting better at it, well, guess what? You're going to have more opportunities to get better. So you have to be ruthless with your time. Genuinely be cutthroat. Say no to everything and everyone that doesn't benefit you and help you get to the point of achieving your goals. So whatever doesn't serve the inputs to help you get closer to your goals, cut that out immediately. Now you might think, oh, this is too extreme. I think we should have balance. Well, balance is just another word for average. Because you have to average things out to have balance on both sides. So let me ask you this. Do you want to live an average life? Of course, the answer is no. So stop giving into the narrative of being balanced and instead fully focus on what you want to achieve, as that's going to serve you way more in the long term than hanging out with these same old people and just being around the environment which facilitates you not doing action which serves your end goal. I've cut out my old girlfriend, friends, hobbies, job, all of this stuff to go all in on focusing on business. And there's even some days where I was doubting if this is the right thing. But then I think to myself that, do I truly want to be great? Because it's not actually about the fact of, is this right, does this work or not? It's worked for other people in the past, so it's going to work for me under the condition that I want to do the work for me. This has worked for people in the past, which means it can work for you under the condition that you work for you. Which brings me to lesson 7. You have to stop being influenced by people who are living lives that you don't want to live. So imagine there's other people, your teachers, your friends, your parents, whoever this might be, a relative, and you allow yourself to be influenced. You allow your thoughts, decisions, and actions to change based off of their advice, feedback, their decisions, actions, or words. The issue with that is that if they're giving advice, even if it's with a positive intent, to you based off their past experience to get to where they are right now, well, you don't even want to be in that place anyways, which means you have to take different action, therefore experiencing different things to get you to where you want to be. So you probably even hang out with the same old people, listen to the same types of stuff, and you think you're going to be able to make change while still living the same life. You have to be willing to cut off all of that and really just cut off your old self and your old life, disconnect from that identity. And then by doing that, you allow yourself to adopt this new identity and you allow yourself to accept the fact that you can make money, you can do these things. Because truthfully, time and results are only as to what you're willing to accept at the moment. Literally in 1 month, I genuinely believe I could go from where I'm at now to $100,000 a month if I chose to do so. You have to have that level of belief and maybe even a little bit of arrogance to be able to get what you want and be willing or able to accept that's into your reality. But until you're willing to cut off all of the other influences in your life that are telling you it's unrealistic, it's unreasonable, you should just get a job, or this probably won't work out, so they're kind of nudging you in the other direction. Cut that out immediately. Maybe you could listen to them. You can acknowledge what they're saying, but don't let it affect your decisions, actions, thoughts, or words. Because sometimes, you can't control it. Sometimes they are still in your life, and you genuinely don't have control of that. But you have control of the way you react to it. Now, lesson number 8 is there's always more work you can do. Okay, you cut off these people, or at least you're not taking in the influence from them. Okay, but then what? Do you just sit there and kind of stare at the wall? No, there's always more work you can do. As every business has one of 3 constraints: traffic, conversion, or retention. Now, what these are, traffic is just the eyeballs that see you and your product. Conversion is how many people buy that product. So from the people that see, how many people buy. Retention is How much do they buy from you, or how long do they buy from you? Well, your business is going to have one of these three constraints. And as soon as you can identify which one it is, you put all of your day and energy and your thoughts and your dreams and your everything to solving that. Because once you figure out what it is, now you just need to test stuff out and see what works to solve this. And then there's going to be another thing that comes, okay, yeah, you get a bunch of traffic and a bunch of eyes around you, but how do I even convert this? Well, then you convert it and you figure out how, and then, okay, well then retention. Now I've had a bunch of people buy from you, then they just stop buying from me, or they buy very little. Okay, then I need to figure that out. And then you go back, okay, well I need more traffic, right? And it's just this constant cycle. And the first step to really automating that process so you can have constant traffic, conversion, and retention is actually understanding who you are selling to. I'm talking about you're able to completely visualize what this person does at any moment in the day, what they want, what they feel, what they think, what they believe, how they talk about what they want. All of those things you should be able to understand and articulate with clarity, which you can start with by defining these 4 key characteristics, which are age, gender, occupation, and qualities/values. So the age is just the age of the person. So let's say they're 25, and then gender, year-old male. So the 25-year-old male, their occupation is a McDonald's manager. So they're a 25-year-old male who is a McDonald's manager. And the key qualities that they have are they're ambitious, however, they're unfulfilled with their current position in life. Just to give a random example, as if you can define these key things, then you can start to understand who this person is, and from there, you can actually start to break down their current goals. Because the goal is just like where they want to be. You want to be somewhere and you're not there, there's some sort of obstacle stopping them from getting there. Once you understand that obstacle, because that obstacle is just a problem you can solve, you can understand how to solve it. Once you understand how to solve this problem, then all you have to do is be able to solve it for them. And that takes me to lesson number 10. You have to sell shit that people actually want. You have to actually sell the solution to their problem. And then you have to cover it in what they want. So they might want something slightly different than what they actually need and what you know they need. So you have to sell what they want while giving them what they need, which is done through understanding that desire that we talked about and the problem that's stopping them from getting there. And then from there, figuring out what's the solution, like the practical solution to the problem, and then articulating their problem to them better than they can, then they'll assume you have the solution. And then you position the solution in whatever way that they talk about it in, and then you sell to them from there. And then this allows you to sell to what somebody wants and provide what they need, rather than just trying a random business model like an agency or maybe drop shipping because you heard some YouTuber tell you. You're able to actually systemize the solution to somebody's problem, like through just teaching them how. And then if you can do that, you're able to provide the solution, help them out, and make money from it. So let's be real here. I know you don't have very many leads inside of your business and really coming into your business. And that's probably fucking painful for you right now. And this probably makes you uncertain if what you're doing is even worth it. And then maybe sometimes you get a stroke of luck, you get some leads, you make a little bit of money one month, but it drops down the next, and there isn't that consistent flow. That's why I created a community, helping online coaches convert more of their leads and actually generate more high quality leads, so that way they can develop that certainty and make way more money than you can even imagine. Which means they have access to my exclusive methods that they are learning and applying to their business that you're not. That's why your competition is dominating you right now. So go join now and get access to this potentially life-changing information, so that way you can take that first step to changing your life. Imagine what even 5 or 10 more $1,000 sales per month can do for your life. So go join now and click the top link in the description to do so. Or don't take action and just don't do it. Live the same life of people who don't make the decision to actually take action on opportunities that are literally right in front of their face. The people we all know who are going to end up living that mediocre, average life that can kind of pay for their bills with a normal family, a normal job, and overall not having access to that quality of life that I know you want. The choice is yours. And I think we both know which is the right one.